All right, the Department of Justice will not file federal civil rights charges against the former police officer convicted in the 2014 killing of Laquan McDonald. The U.S. Attorney's Office at the Northern District of Illinois said, quote, federal prosecutors would need to prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Van Dyke willfully deprived Mr. McDonald of a constitutional right. To do that, prosecutors would have to prove not only that Mr. Van Dyke acted with the deliberate and specific intent to do something the law forbids, but also that his actions were not the result of mistake, fear, negligence, or bad judgment. It requires federal prosecutors to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Van Dyke was what he was thinking when he used deadly force, and that he knew such force was excessive. The federal law presents a very high bar, more stringent than the state charges on which Mr. Van Dyke was convicted. Of course, Jason Van Dyke served 3 of his 6-year sentence. He was convicted in 2019 of second-degree murder and aggravated battery in the death of Laquan McDonald. I'll start with you, DeMario. Former Attorney General Eric Holder often complained about this high threshold that federal prosecutors have to meet. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who sits on the House Judiciary Committee, she has often said that federal prosecutors are being too timid, that frankly they need to be more aggressive. And she, as she said, stop being scared to lose. She said, as opposed to saying, oh, we can't meet this, she says, why don't you at least try the case? Other people say the exact same thing. Do you believe that the Department of Justice is being too timid, or the U.S. Attorney's Office is being too timid when it comes to prosecuting these cops for violating the civil rights of individuals who they shoot and kill?
Absolutely, the Department of Justice is being too timid because they show us so many times each and every day that Black lives do not matter in the United States of America. They refuse to utilize the tools that are available to show people that if you do this act, we're going to prosecute you. Listen, every case in America, every prosecutor, when they take a case to trial, they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the absolutely standard, right? And so they only want to bring cases that they believe that they can win 100%. Well, guess who's on the receiving end of most of those cases? People, Black people that look like you and I and the rest of the panelists tonight. The reality is these laws are set in place for prosecutors to do their job, prosecute these individuals, and try to get convictions. Even if an individual is not convicted, it means a lot to have to spend resources, time, energy, and have the stress of being prosecuted like the criminal that this particular individual is, who shot and killed Laquan McDonald, shot him from across the street. He was a far distance away. I think he shot him 16 times. It was clearly a crime. And if our federal government will not use the tools to protect us, we are in serious, serious trouble.
You know, Teresa, I hear people say, well, just try. I mean, just try. Don't just say, well, we don't think it's going to happen. If you don't try, you don't know.
Yeah, but we're dealing with leadership who doesn't try. We're dealing with leadership who chooses the path of non-public opinion, where they don't or are not being as courageous as we want them to in trying a case. Like, we are unfortunately finding ourselves with leadership who doesn't want to take that chance than they would have, some years ago. And so we're in this space of, leadership that is saying, we're not going to do this because if and or what, versus the public opinion, which is saying, if you did try, let's see the results. And so we now have, Brother Laquan is now laying by the wayside because no one's trying, and how is that getting justice? How is that renewable or opportunity for the family to see justice under law? We're not going to see anything because no one's trying.
Mustafa.
Every landmark case throughout history had a high bar. But we had attorneys that were willing to step up and to push, whether those attorneys were in the government or they were in outside practice. So for folks to say it's just too tough, or we don't think that we can meet the high bar, that's just a cop out. In my time in federal government, I used to have conversations with officers of general counsel in a number of departments who often would not take the tough cases because they were afraid that they might lose. Now, by no means was that everyone, but there were far too many. So the question becomes, do we have the right set of attorneys who are representing us at the Department of Justice, at EPA, at HUD, transportation, so forth and so on? Because if you're not willing to do what's necessary, what the people are asking you for, and those who are paying your salary, then maybe you should find something else to do.
Well,
Roland, can I say one other
yeah,
thing?
go ahead.
I've been involved in these cases personally, just the last one with the Terrence Crutcher case. A lot of people don't realize that these decisions come from main justice. They're not done from the individual U.S. attorney office in that particular state. These decisions to make these type of civil rights claims, civil rights cases, go through D.C. And so when Teresa talked about leadership, that's what we need. We need leadership from the top down that says, we're going to do this. Even Eric Holder. He was the attorney general. He could have said, look, we're going to prosecute these cases, win, lose, or draw. They make the decision.
Well, and when you talk about that, even when you think about the case of New York with Eric Garner, that I don't even know if they even actually make that decision. Let me see. Did they ever make a decision on that?
I think it took them like 6 years to decide that they were not going to prosecute. And so, it's not just the Biden administration. It's not just the Bush administration. It's not just the Obama administration. It has been every administration in this country has refused to utilize the tools and the laws that are on the books right now. That's why when everybody was so excited about the Emmett Till Act, that was fine. But let's just utilize the laws on the books right now. Prosecute those particular laws. Hold people accountable, just like we were talking about with the brother that was shot in the back of the head. Hold people accountable with the laws that are on the books right now, and stop giving us symbolism and putting up new shiny balls when you won't do what's available right now.
It was 5 years. I'm trying to understand, how the hell does it take 5 years to decide to file federal charges against the cop? 5 years? I mean,
Under the Obama administration.
This is the New York Times story right here. Eric Garner's death will not lead to federal charges for NYPD officer. The decision was made by Attorney General William Barr in 2019, but the death happened in 2014.
Right.
Mustafa, I don't get that. 5 years? I mean, it takes you 5 years to review evidence?
Well, I don't want to get in the head of the legal team at that time, but I will say that I have seen instances where folks will let the clock run out and push it to the next administration. I'm not sure if that's what played out in this instance, but I know that sometimes does.
Well, this came, Teresa, right before it expired. So it was, literally, that took all that time. But, again, Eric Garner was killed on July 17th, 2014. Obama doesn't leave the White House until January 2017. So the Obama Justice Department had 2.5 years to investigate this case. You trying to tell me it takes 2.5 years and you punt to the next administration and then they take 2.5 years?
No, what we're seeing here is the pass through and pass along. Well, what we know is at the top priority. Unfortunately, Eric Garner was not at the top priority. So this is what happens. It goes to administration. And unfortunately, if the family and the advocates and those that are working on the case is not saying, hey, we want justice in this case, let's review the case, and the public outcry isn't as fast. Listen, we have seen cases being reviewed in a blink of an eye, right, from the Justice Department. We have seen, even in Trump's administration, verdicts overturned and people getting out of prison, who's supposed to be in prison, who's been overturned so quickly. So we know what the capabilities of the Justice Department can do. But again, it's about the priorities. And when we go back and not forget about our elected officials and our leadership, when they are asking for our vote, when they are asking for us to believe in them, they're asking for hope, they're asking for change, they're asking for everything, right? But we need to tell them it's time to remember the cases that went viral. It's time to remember the families that are heartbroken. And so once we continue this, unfortunately, that we still got to keep reminding people, hey, this happened. We need some results. But it is what it is, unfortunately. And this is our America right now. I don't know what to say more about it, but I know that it doesn't take 2.5 years. The power of the Justice Department here in America, we can get things done. It just has to be prioritized in the best way.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now. We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?